Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It is Traci coming to you live from Golden Dog Adventure Company headquarters with our first Lunch and Learn for August. And my guest today is Melanie Amorosa of Happiness for Dogs. How are you, Melanie?
Doing fantastic. Traci, how are you today?
Doing well, thanks. Glad to have you back with us. You might remember that Melanie was with us last month for a lunch and learn. We talked about fascia, and today we are talking about living with a senior dog that I know most of you can relate to. We talk about it a lot. It is a subject very near and dear to my heart as well because I have a 14-year-old who is living her best life. So I'm really excited to talk with you today, Melanie, about things that you've learned, strategies that you've put into play with your dog, and from your expertise as well in health and wellness, what types of therapeutic strategies you've incorporated into her life to give her the best possible senior life. So I think to start us out, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Happiness for Dogs.
Sure. So I started Happiness for Dogs a couple years ago, shortly after Emma had TPLO surgery for a ruptured CCL. And at the time she was 12. So we had an older dog that just went through some serious surgery and had to kind of, rehab her. So she was not a fan of ice for getting rid of the swelling and the surgery site. So we had to start using some other things, including a small portable PEMF type unit.
And tell us what PEMF stands for.
Pulsed electromagnetic field. So there's the CC or SASI, depends on how you want to pronounce it, loop. That is just a little small battery operated loop. So we started with that. We started with light therapy, red light therapy for the inflammation. And that worked really well for her since we couldn't use ice at all. She just put a stop on that one. And then she, I think is kind of a result of the surgery and the intubation, she had some cervical neck issues that popped up afterward. So I think that we already had that going on a little bit, and it seemed to get exacerbated after surgery. So we had that. We also had a loss of some vision issues that had been coming along since she was about 10. And then, of course, that lovely aging process of loss of hearing as well. So all of that stuff started to come into play, and I decided to start Happiness for Dogs as a way to sort of share what I learned going through all these processes with her. She's now 14. She's doing wonderfully well. She still goes out and plays and wrestles with her brother, who's half her age, and just, stubborn, particular about certain things.
No, not senior dogs. What are you talking about?
Never. So that's been a really fun journey, and she's been my inspiration. Actually, her nickname is Happiness. So
I love
the business
that.
is named after her.
Well, I love how you formed your whole business around her because I'm a certified permaculturist. And one of the things that we say in permaculture is the problem is the solution. And this was a problem that you created a solution for and built a business around it. So I just think that's really amazing. So tell us a little bit about Emma now. How is she living her best life?
Emma is fantastic. She goes out and explores in the yard. She loves to hunt. She's a very nosy dog. So her sense of smell has always been super strong with her. And so she goes out, hunts the rock walls for critters that are living in there, dismantles the rock wall. My husband puts it back. She dismantles it again. So she's having fun with that. She loves to go to the beach and hang out and explore the seashore. So anytime I can do things where take her places where she can use her nose, especially like in the wintertime, we go to indoor places like Home Depot or Lowe's or other venues like that allow dogs. And we're always there for 4 times longer than we need to be if I'm picking something up, just because she has to investigate every box in every aisle. It's just
Absolutely.
a thing. So I just follow behind her and let her do her thing, and just, let her stay enriched that way, because that's one of the things that she really enjoys.
I've found with my older girl, as well as her eyesight diminishes and her hearing diminishes, her ability to sniff things seems to increase, and that is what she really, really enjoys. I mean, she has degenerative arthritis, so going on, the type of walks I go on doesn't really work for her. She needs a shorter walk with a sniffing opportunity, or just going around in the backyard, especially because we're a sniff spot location. So after a dog has been there, she absolutely loves. And she's gotten to the point where she knows, okay, we had a visitor. I get to go outside. She runs out there and she sniffs all the areas. And I just love that she still loves that, So, there's these key things that I witness about her to know in my mind that, yeah, she's still got some good years ahead of her. And I'm sure that's what you're seeing as well with Emma.
Absolutely. And one of the things I really like about dogs using their nose and sniffing a lot is that they walk more slowly. So the slower they walk, especially if it's a bit of an uneven terrain, the better that does for building muscle, maintaining their sense of balance, and making them, proprioception, using the nerves at the bottom of their feet to sort of gauge what the terrain is like. So it keeps all of that stuff functioning, as well as keeps them occupied. It's not like you or I getting on the treadmill and going, oh God, I got to grunt this out for 30 minutes. They're happy and engaged and doing something that they like. They don't even really realize that they're exercising and doing something that's very healthy for them, as well as enriching.
Good point. Yeah. Well, tell us, I know you've got some great tips for us today for senior dogs. Where do you want to start today?
So I think the first thing I'm going to look at is something we've already touched on, is that is having a healthy mindset. It's so easy to fall in that trap of when you see your dog slowing down, or you see them working harder to get up from laying down, and some of those other things that just tug at your heartstrings, and you think to yourself, oh Lord, how much longer am I going to have my dog for? And then you start kind of going down that rabbit hole of non-beneficial thought process, where instead it's like, all right, girl, come on, let's put a little effort. Let's get you up. Let's go do something. Let's stretch those legs. Let's get those joints lubricated and working. So, and I think it's finding a way to share those special moments with our dog, and sort of getting away from that negative or mindset that kind of drags you down, focusing on loss. I mean, that's going to come, and being prepared for it is important, but there's no reason why you can't sit there and enjoy being with your dog and giving them that healthy mindset, because they pick up on our emotions so well. And if you're worried or sad or have some of those other issues going on in your, in your mindset and your psyche, they pick up on that and they're like, oh my God, what's wrong? They start to feel it and mirror those same emotions. So let's keep it light and healthy. Let's enjoy what we have. Let's celebrate. And, again, if they love using their nose, or if they have a special toy, let's just enjoy watching them play with that.
I love this conversation, and let me tell you why. So I think in our fast-paced worlds, we're just always so busy, and we're not really focused on simple things. And I think a senior dog brings that to you. It brings the opportunity to slow down, to relax, to just, take in a moment with your dog who is enjoying every minute of their life, not worried about, what comes next, because I don't think they have that kind of thought process going. They live in the moment, and they're teaching us that we should do the same. And I can't even tell you, just like you, I've worried, night and day about, how much longer is she going to live every time she's at the vet. Every time she's, she vomits up something or she makes a gagging noise, I'm like, okay, how much longer does she have? And then I worry about it, just like you're saying. But you're right. You just have to, take a step back, take a breath, and just do everything you can to make sure they are living their best life, and not worry about it and just enjoy it. Because if you don't, you're going to look back with resentment and be like, oh, why couldn't I have just enjoyed every moment like she did? So I'm glad you're having this conversation.
One of the things that I because I have a lot of these conversations with my clients, and one of the things that I also talk with them about, especially as we know that we're getting closer to the end, and this is, we're going to touch on more in another lunch and learn later, but life review. I think it is so important to sit there and talk with your dog about the wonderful adventures you've had, and joke about the time that they ate your tennis shoe, or whatever it is. But I think it's really, and that puts us more in a gratitude mindset. And it's a good way to start to deflect ourselves from, again, that rabbit hole of non-beneficial thoughts.
Yep, I agree. I actually remember when my dog was younger, she used to chew at everything to get to food. She's highly treat motivated. We had just bought this nice new bunk bed set up for my youngest, and it's wooden. And for some reason, he decided he was going to keep some treats inside of the cabinet. She spent like a half a day, I don't even know how long, until we found her, because we would leave the dogs alone during the house during the day because they had earned that right.
Yep.
She had chewed the bottom of the door so much that we couldn't repair it. She didn't get into the food, but she tried awfully hard, and I think she's a wood carving expert at this point. But yeah, there was some days. Yep.
Exactly. And those are the fun thoughts and memories to share. And that brings up that loving emotion that we talk about, and that joy and that celebration of your life together with your dog. So that's a very important piece to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But one of the other things I want to talk about too is sort of managing the home a little bit, and managing older dogs is, when we're getting a puppy, we puppy proof our home. Before we get the dog, we know, so we go through, we start to puppy proof. We don't, because our dog has been so independent and trained and all of this other stuff, we don't think about senior proofing our home. And that is kind of some things mirror what we did for our puppies. We don't want our puppies jumping. Older dogs jumping on and off furniture is no longer good. So we need to find ways of, like, ramps, slippery floors. What are we going to put on the floors? What are we going to put on stairs? The other thing that I think about too with the decreased eyesight is at night. Yeah. We had to put extra lights on the stairs going outside, just because the dogs couldn't see the stairs well at night to navigate them. And I know we've got an Afghan hound who's 12 now, and she will not, at night, she won't go down the stairs until I turn on the light for the stairs, and then she'll go down. So being aware of the fact that, your dog needs some extra accommodations when it comes to decreased eyesight. When she's sleeping, she doesn't hear me well anymore. So I will go up to her and I'll put my hand close to her nose and I'll let her smell me. And then I'll softly start talking to her. And then, again, some tones she hears better than others. But again, it's that slow wake up. Some people really get a kick out of, jabbing a sleeping dog and watching them get startled and wake up, and, makes for a funny video for social media. But it's not really fair to your dog.
Agreed.
And so finding a way to gently wake them if they're sleeping and you need to get them to go out because you've got to go to work or something like that. So being conscious of that with them, because they do sleep more and more. Yep. And it's a really good deep sleep. And again, that with the decreased hearing, it's a perfect storm for really startling your dog and making things unpleasant for them.
Yeah, we found that
Um,
with Dakota the hard way. We have two other dogs as well, and the younger dog, who's 2, was playing with a toy, and the way she was playing with it, she accidentally bumped into Dakota when she was sleeping in her bed on the floor. Dakota was not happy because not only did I think Comet hit her foot at the same time, but she also startled her, and she woke up with mouth flaring, and I think she was. If I could understand dog language, there was a number of expletives that came out of her mouth at that time. So yeah, I think being aware too of other dogs in the space of your senior dog, and if they're playing or if they're chewing something, making sure that there's enough space as well with other pets that might be circulating, or giving your dog an elevated bed, or encouraging them to go on a couch or something like that, so those things don't happen.
yeah, or a corner set aside so that they're kind of out of the main
Yeah.
pathway. Yeah, my 7-year-old loves to spin and jump, and he doesn't care who's around. And he's come close to landing on my female several times, and I've got to put him in a heel. I've got to control him, and just make sure that he's cognizant of where she is at times, because he's oblivious. I refer to him as my drunken frat boy. He's just boo boo all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Now, what have
Wait.
you found with dogs getting around too?
So yeah, so again, slippery floors.
Yeah,
We
do you
want
use like yoga mats, or have you found anything else that really works well?
yoga mats, some runners. They've got those little small stair covers that have
Mm,
like a grippy back to them
yeah.
that you can put on your stairs to give your dog more stability going up and down stairs. We have a set of rubber ones with grooves in them for the decks, so that the dogs can go up and down the stairs without slipping and sliding on those. Um, and then one other thing I want to talk to, and we'll get to the slippery floors and mobility a little bit more. Um, Heat tolerance and cold tolerance in senior dogs, depending on what their coat and their body style is like, is something that we have to become more and more concerned with. So some of the things that I'll do if it's colder out, I make sure that Emma has a jacket on, sweater, something like that to keep her warmer. Some dogs are very heat intolerant, and the
Mm,
heat really stresses them. So I found some of those gel cooling mats that you can put in the freezer are fantastic for dogs. Some of the elevated crates that come off the ground about 3 or 4 inches that have kind of a mesh to them so that air flows through is really good.
nice.
And then traveling in the car, a small portable fan that you can put near a crate to keep air circulating is good. And the other thing I love for crates is a plastic water bottle filled about half to 3/4 with water, and freeze it.
Hmm.
And then put that inside a sock or double wrap it in like an old pillowcase and put that inside the crate. And that acts like air conditioning inside the crate when you're traveling, especially if that crate is going to be on the sun side of the vehicle when you're traveling, or if it's in the back window. It's that gives them a little bit more of a cooling opportunity so they don't overheat traveling.
Yeah, great
Um,
ideas.
yeah, so those are things that I found to be very beneficial. And the thing I like about the water is that the frozen water bottle, if they chew on it, nothing really bad's going to happen. Whereas some of that gel, if they get into the gel mats, if they're unsupervised, that could be a bad scenario.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
point.
so those are a couple of the things that I look at. Training your dog to be picked up. If it's not smaller dogs are picked up, I think, more than they walk. So they're carried more than anything else. And that's good. But for some of the other larger dogs, 30, 40, 50 pounds, if you can pick them up get them used to being picked up and carried, even if it's just a step or two, or being picked up out of the car or put back in the car. Use good body mechanics. Don't injure yourself, but finding a good solution for yourself to get dogs in and out with assistance, and training them now before they actually need it is very beneficial. Emma is extremely indignant at being helped in and out of the car. I mean, she's a very vocal dog, and she will cuss me out. So I've kind of have to be sneaky about how I do it. I put her in a harness when she's in her crate traveling, and then I've gotten really good at catching her midair. I've got one hand on the harness, and one hand I slide underneath her stomach, her abdomen, right behind her, right in front of her back legs, and catch her in midair, and then put her on the ground. And she's a little bit better with that because, you know, the launch was her idea, not mine.
Right.
So things like that, I think you've got to be really cognizant of, because that impact is bad for arthritic joints or joints that are stability compromised. And the other thing is training your dog to get used to a lifting sling. Get them used to something, you know, around their midsection, helping them get up. Get them used to the feel of that before they really need it. And then that way there, when you do need it, it's old hat for them. Plus, it's an engagement enrichment exercise. It gives you an opportunity to train them and work with them. So it's just part of, you know, a normal training routine and sort of daily habit.
Yeah, I like all your ideas quite a bit. And I think, you know, just also the relationship you're having with your dog as they're a senior, they need to know that they can trust you to be there for them, to, you know, pick them up the right way and put them in the car, to, you know, guide them as they're jumping out of something. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I'm finding with Dakota as well, is I need to have, you know, our routine when it comes to these different things. Like she'll tell me, like I'll ask her if she wants to jump into the car, because usually after she has her acupuncture appointment, she's all about that. She has no problem. She'll just jump in.
Yeah.
But sometimes she'll just stand there and she'll look at me like she wants me to pick her up. Sometimes we'll use the stairs, but what's interesting is I have not been able to find a ramp or stairs that works well with our type of car if she's going in the side. So it's in there a little bit rickety, and then I get concerned it's going to move on her and she's going to get scared. So, you know, there's a couple of different things that we work with and try. Fortunately, she's only around 40 pounds and I can pick her up, but I know at some point she's going to tell me that hurts, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be able to touch that hind end or get near her feet. So we might just have to put her in a different portion of the car and maybe put her in a crate with some of those ideas that you were talking about. And that might be more comfortable for her, because our stairs do fit coming into the back end of the car, at least.
Right.
I'll buy a new car if I have to, whatever makes her comfortable. You know, I really don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. The things we do for our dogs, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Definitely. And I've had to do that same thing with Emma. So she rides, I've got my dog car is like a Forester. And so she rides in the very back. And I've had to go from the plastic crate with the door to a wire crate, which is still safer for her than being freewheeling. But wire crates are not the safest either. But it's got that big opening side door, so that I can open that door. I can get her into the crate comfortably and get her out easily without having to fit her through that little small opening.
Yeah.
So a wire crate with a side door is fantastic.
I agree. Yep. We have, they make them now with side doors and front doors.
Yes.
So yeah, so you have a little bit more versatility, which is nice depending on how your car's laid out and stuff. So
yeah, and I think one of the things I'm investigating is the Roughland plastic kennel, because you can get those with door configurations, you know, front and back or front and side. So that's one of the things I'm looking at, because that is a safer way for her to travel than the wire. Those they withstand the impact and they go back to their normal shape very easily, whereas wire just crumples.
Nice.
God forbid it's ever needed. But keeping them safe is key.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to tell us a little bit about any of the therapies that you offer at Happiness for Dogs that can benefit senior dogs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, massage is, again, where I got started. I was a massage therapist back in 98, 99, and for humans, and did that for a good number of years. And then started using those same skills for Emma when she started to have her issues, and now offer it to all my clients. So massage is great because we can focus on those sore areas. The assessments that we do, we can look for tender spots along the spine and start to indicate where some of the body issues are. So massage has been great for her. We can start to stretch some of those muscles that get tight. We can stimulate blood flow to muscles that aren't used very much, and try and help keep that whole body system, again, lubricated, oxygenated, nutrients coming in and out due to increased blood flow, and dealing with sore muscles, because when dogs get older and they start having joint issues, they overcompensate using their muscles and other areas of the body. So this helps keep them comfortable through that whole process. So massage is a really big piece to it. And then the LED light therapy, red light therapy, has been really beneficial for a lot of the same reasons. Working on arthritic areas, it's been wonderful. And then the pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which is like a massage, and it massages and energizes, but at the cellular level. So it increases oxygenation. It increases the inflow of nutrients into the cell. It helps flush out the waste from cells. It is great for a host of issues, from wound healing to bone healing, increased circulation, reduced inflammation. It's a host of things. And the funny part is that these three things that we just talked about, my husband and I use on an almost daily basis ourselves. He has joint issues. I've got some joint issues. I've, a wonky knee and a few other things. And so these aren't things that we just use on our dogs. We use all of these things on ourselves. So we see and feel how they work for us.
Yeah.
And if it's working for us, it's working for the dogs as well.
I agree. Yeah, some great ideas. And I know you're always adding some new things. You've got quite a list of services at your website. I highly encourage people to check out happinessfordogs.com, because I know there's some things coming up. I don't want to spoil it for people, because we've got some things coming up with you in September and later on this year. So, but today's focus was on senior dogs. We had a great talk with you last month on the importance of fascia. If you are one of our official club members, make sure that you check that out in the library. If you missed it, it is also archived here on YouTube and in our Facebook group. So another great session, though. I love conversations about senior dogs. I could talk all day about senior dogs. I think you hit the nail on the head with all kinds of great points and ideas for making our senior dogs' lives better, and letting them be healthier, have a better well-being, and live their best life until, such day that they need to cross the Rainbow Bridge. But hopefully for you and me, that is still many years off.
Amen.
Thank you for being my guest today, Melanie. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you are watching on the replay and you have any questions, feel free to tag us below, and Melanie will follow up with you with any additional information. Otherwise, go to her website at happinessfordogs.com, and you can contact her through there as well. Thanks, Melanie. I appreciate you joining me today, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Traci. You take care. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.